So recently I've discovered something extremely awesome and extremely free that you can thank me for later. I've always scrounged around trying to find all the best free versions of a choir sound so that I can make all of my mixes and my music and my awesome heavy metal stuff a lot more epic with this cool big grand choir behind everything, including my own voice when I create my own. But having a actual choir sampler or a choir plugin is essential to having that kind of epic sound. And holy crap, have I found the choir plugin for you. It is free, and it is probably the best choir plugin that I have ever used in my entire life for a lot of reasons. So I'll quit yapping and let's get into it so I can show you exactly why this thing is so freaking awesome. Okay, so I've got a session here pulled up of an original piece that I've been working on, and it's got this section later on in the song that's got this epic choir moment with some other instruments included, but as you can hear, that's a pretty epic sounding choir, am I right? And it gets... That is a pretty epic sounding choir, if you ask me. And so what that is, especially if you have Kontakt, you're going to love me for this, all right? So this is through Kontakt Player, but it is free to download. So check in your instruments and stuff like that and go find this actual awesome plugin. It's the Jacob Collier, or Collier Audience Choir. And oh my God. This thing is really, really amazing for a whole crap ton of reasons, and I probably won't even touch on everything in here. But just to start off, all right, you have got this awesome looking interface already, and you can see there's a lot of different things here, and there's a lot of different functions that you can mess with, but you got all of these awesome sounds you can do. So just to kind of walk you through in a quick way, you've got a chord generator down here, right? Which basically means that you push one key in whatever key that you're in, or key signature that you're in. You pick a key on your keyboard, and it'll play the chord attributed to that note in the scale. And you can just play chords with one note at a time. If I can pull it up on my piano. That's not registered. That's okay. We'll do it on the here. But you hit one note. And it'll play a chord. So that is already extremely useful. You don't got to figure out all the different chords, the triads and all that for everything. If you know the key that you're playing in, you can just push the root note and bam, it'll generate the chord already for you. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can turn that off, and obviously you can play individual notes. But I like the chord generator because it makes things so much easier for me. Down below that, you can pick your key. So you got C to B, obviously, and you got a different set of keys, which I wish there was a little bit more in the mode side of things, but you got major, minor, and harmonic minor, which are kind of the main three that you would ever use. You can go do all the accidentals and stuff later on for different modes like Lydian or Mixolydian or Locrian if you're crazy. And you can make those adjustments later, but they got the main three. And obviously this tune, as you can see, is an E harmonic minor. And down below that, you've got all the different sounds that you can actually run through. And basically, it just changes what the sound makes when you're playing the song, right? So I got an A-E-O-A sound, right? And that changes depending on what you do with this little scrambly thing here. You can go to ooze. It's an O. Change it to to E. And back to ah. And you can actually mix them and go crazy. You can do different mixes. Mostly oohs and e's. Mostly oohs and e's is a nice sound. Ms and ahs. Ms and ohs. and E, and any mix of all of those. And then you can also go into these bounces that I believe throw some of them around. If I see it's not changing anything. There we go. I figured it out. So you got to hit after you pick something that's going to like move around, you have to hit the play button down here to activate that. And what it does is when you play your notes, it's going to move that thing for you in an interesting way. So it moves it for you, and you don't got to do that, and it just kind of adds a little bit of a different texture to some of the stuff that you want to do. So you can do a spin. Or you can do like waves. All sorts of different cool things, and you can change some of the looping of it, the forward and backward, forward. You can do playback speed in terms of how fast that whole thing moves, the automation of it. It's really, really cool to have. And then down below, you've also got the dynamics, right? So you can change the dynamics to be quieter or louder, obviously. Obviously, for my big epic song, I'm going to have them be as loud as possible. And then you got the triad blend. And if you hover over stuff, you can see at the bottom, it'll read out to you in contact. Create smooth transitions between different tonalities from major to minor in the range orange keyboard range. This control can be played using a MIDI expression pedal, blah, 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 blah. So it just changes the blend of whatever triad that you're playing. And it just makes things sound more realistic and fun stuff like that. You can change the timbre of the sounds of the voices, right? Soft. A little more hollow all the way up. Oh, yeah. There's delay that you can add to everything, and it's got presets built in as well. You got reverb on here that you can mess with some presets as well. You got a stereo effect that you can actually change the panning. It's either stereo or it's mono, right? So that's really cool. You also got attack and release. There's a lot to this plugin, and I'm rushing through a lot of it, but it is so good. And so another feature that I just discovered, I didn't know this before, but I wondered, you can actually create your own automated sounds. So when you come down to the presets here, you can go to user preset, and now instead of just having the play button down below, you have a record button. So essentially you could record a movement, I guess, of where you would want this to go. Let's make like an hourglass shape or something like that and come back around, right? And now we hit play. And look at that. It does it just like I created right there. That's my own preset, and you can load and save that now if you want to do that, do different shapes and stuff. That's really cool. I kind of wondered if you could do that, but I didn't figure that out until just now. So even I'm learning new things about this plugin. Let me just give you a taste again of how good this sounds in a mix here. And I will let you hear the epicness of this part for the song to kind of close things out, to hear this in a context of a big metal mix. And this is unfinished, so hold the hate. But here's a taste. Now, doesn't that add such a huge atmosphere to that song already? Holy crap, I'm so glad I found this plugin. It's so freaking good. So many cool things you can do with it. It adds so much awesome texture. And there's so many ways you can just manipulate every aspect of that choir. And it's really good, and it's free. And you're dead wrong if you think you shouldn't get this, just to at least have. Even if you think you have a better, like, non-free version that you paid $600 for, this one is really good to have on the back burner, just in case you want to add some different texture or use something that doesn't cost you a month's rent, right? So that's about it. That's all I got. Hopefully it sounds as good to you as it does to me, and maybe you can go get it for yourself. So if you already have Kontakt, it should already be in the available instruments to install. So go install that and screw around with it. Just find what sounds good and add it to some of your mixes. Do some cool stuff with it. I mean, it's there for the taking. It's free. So with that, thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. I will see you in the next video. Stay metal, my friends.